managers, executive staff, those watching on live stream and members of the media present to today's meeting to adopt the Council's budget for 2020 and 2021. First, I would also like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land in which we meet here today, elders past, present and emerging. I would also like to acknowledge those Australians that have paid the ultimate sacrifice and service for our great country. I'll now invite councillors to declare any conflict of interest and or material personal interest in any items to be discussed at today's budget meeting. Let's go around the room. Any there? No. Thank you, everybody. So, members of the community, councillors, in presenting the 2020-21 council budget to the community, I wish to acknowledge the efforts of staff and councillors in constructing a responsible budget for difficult times. COVID-19 had a significant impact on council operations and finances. Despite this, we're providing relief for struggling householders through a no pricing path increase in general rates and a stimulus to kickstart our local community. There's an $83 million capital works program to create jobs and improve infrastructure. There's support for the construction industry to power the engine of economic recovery. There's a helping hand for sporting organisations to get back on their feet. Earlier this year, I said we face challenges to defeat the invisible army. We've taken a few hits and the war isn't over in regard to this, but we're holding our ground. The war is expensive. Council has received $2.8 million less revenue than expected due to fewer flights into Bundaberg Airport and the closure of holiday parks and venues such as the Moncrief Entertainment Centre and the multiplex alone. We're forecasting a $5.26 million deficit next year after achieving an expected surplus of over $500,000 this year. I can assure the community that although we've had to pull out the credit card for one-off bills, we're going to pay it all back without increasing the overall debt, unless there's obviously a second wave of COVID-19. Council will return to balanced the budget in 2021-22 with no increases in loans. This outcome has been achieved because councils prudently set aside funds in the past to meet challenges exactly like this that we face today. They say to keep some money for a rainy day. Well, we had that experience quite literally in 2010-11 and 2013 with major floods, and now we've had the pandemic. I'm proud that we have retained essential services and all our staff during the lockdown. We're now progressively getting back to normal business as restrictions are slowly eased across our region and the state. I'd like to acknowledge the state for their support through COVID Works for Queensland of $7.1 million and the federal government for $2.1 million in roads funding. These grants have enabled us to undertake works that improve community infrastructure and create employment. Some of these capital projects in 2020-21 include the Gregory River Water Treatment Plant for $12.6 million, which will complete this $18 million project. Back at Windermere Road, which is $2.6 million. Bundaberg Rec Precinct, which is $3.32 million. Branyan Drive, Avoca Drive, Dipman Road traffic lights and upgrade, $1.28 million. 1 Mile Creek, Mondrian Road bridge replacement, $1.24 million. Haymans Road, Appletree Creek crossing upgrade, $1.285 million. Bachelors Road to Burren, upgrade, $850,000. Elliott Heads Holiday Park upgrade, $620,000. Moncrief Auditorium Lights, $316,000. Ginging Youth Centre Car Park, $274,000. Elliott Heads Recreational Facility, $569,000. Borum Park upgrade, $899,000. Gaburrum Road upgrade, $317,000. Kepnock Road widening and sealing, $485,000. Burrum Street pathway in Crofton Street to Walker Street, a further $580,000. Vault Street, Norval pathway, $600,000. Gin Streetscape, $800,000. That'll be to be able to complete that particular project. Settlement Road ceiling, $970,000, and Coona Beach Road ceiling, a further $640,000. In 2020-21, we're planning initiatives such as further dog off-the-leash parks, Burnett Heads Holiday Park upgrades, Childers Swimming Pool, Baby Pool upgrades, Moore Park Beach Holiday Park upgrades to approximately $2.1 million, and further shade structure programs totalling $630,000 across the region. In March, I announced a relief package to assist residents, businesses and organisations adversely impacted by the coronavirus lockdown. These measures included in today in the budget is $200,000 in community sporting grants, $235,000 to extend all dog registrations by 6 months, $130,000 to extend licences and permits for registered premises by 6 months, $50,000 to extend licences and permits for food premises by 6 months, $225,000 to provide continuing rate relief from July to September 2000 for council-owned commercial, tourism and retail shop leasees, and $500,000 to extend trade waste licensing by 6 months. Today I'm pleased to announce also a multi-million-dollar stimulus package for the construction industry called Building Bundaberg Region. It delivers a range of fee waivers and incentives to encourage development, including permanent reductions in infrastructure charges for sectors including rural industries and mature-based tourism. So councillors, fellow members of the community, once again I thank everyone who had input into this reasonable budget for difficult times. By working together, we help to build Australia's best regional community. Thank you, everybody. We will now move on to the adoption of the 2020-21 budget, and I call Councillor Cooper.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, Council's executive team and those in the gallery this morning, and particularly a big thank you to all the staff preparing this budget. I now move pursuant to section 169, 170 and 205 of the Local Government Regulation 2012 Council's budget for the 2020 and 2021 financial year, incorporating A, the statement of income and expenditure for the financial year and the next 2 financial years, incorporating 1, the statement of estimated financial position in brackets operations for the previous financial year, 2, the total value of change expressed as a percentage in the rates and utilities charges levied for the financial year compared to the rates and utilities charges levied in the previous budget. B, the statement of financial position for the financial year and the next 2 financial years, incorporating 1, the statement of estimated financial position for the 2 previous financial years. C, the statement of cash flow for the financial year and the next 2 financial years. D, the statement of changes in equity for the financial year and the next 2 financial years. E, the long-term financial forecast. F, the relevant measures for financial sustainability. G, the estimated activity statement for business activities to which Council applies full cost pricing principles, including the estimated community service obligations. H, the revenue statement, and I, the revenue policy, as tabled to be adopted.
Thank you, Councillor Cooper. Can I have a seconder, please? Seconder is Councillor Haberman. Any speakers against? I'll now put that item to the vote. All those in favour? Those Against no, it's passed unanimously. The next item I now move to is in relation to the standing orders. And I now move that the standing orders be suspended also to allow any member of council who wishes to make any comment on the budget statement to do so. Can I have a seconder, please? Seconder is Councillor Trevor. I'll now put that to the vote. All those in favour? Those against? So moved. I'll now ask any councillor that wishes to speak in relation to the budget, then we'll move to obviously out of those standing orders once that's completed. Councillor Honour.
Thank you, Mr Mayor and councillors, staff. This has been one of the most trying times leading to this budget. I think that I've certainly experienced in my career as a councillor. We've experienced severe restrictions on business due to COVID, and I want to congratulate council's officers for the work that they've done on behalf of the community, supporting the community's efforts to stay financially viable. And we have a lot of businesses in our community that have suffered greatly. We've got a lot of businesses that have actually excelled and provided services that normally wouldn't be provided to the community, and I commend all of those. Mr Mayor, one of the most concerning factors of this budget to me has been working through the workshops at council, which we've had many. Personally, in relation to the agricultural rating, the Valuer General has did a new valuation across our region, and the Valuer General has come to a figure on agricultural land that has risen the valuations by 46% average. That means that some of our agricultural land has gone up zero, some has gone up as high as 300%. And this is most disturbing to people who are caught up in that, especially people who are traditionally farming in a way that they have for generations. They are affected by the land valuations of new cropping, and I congratulate those people that are doing new cropping programs across our region. It adds to the diversity. But we certainly do have some farms, some agricultural land that's caught up in that, and I think my personal opinion is that the Valuer General has to get things a lot more right than they have this time in regards to the rainbow matrix of the land types across our region. They are basically volcanic type soils that go from red soil to grey soil to black soil, and rocky outcrops, and some of this land is not to the value that the higher level land is that's being used for some of the new cropping that's coming into the area. As a council, our workshops have been very concise, and I do thank everybody, including the staff, for the information that they've brought forward. I'm disappointed that we haven't been able to come to an arrangement that probably makes up for the problems that have been brought about by the Valuer General's Department's valuations. We've done the best we possibly can without reducing the rating on people who have got zero rise in their valuation, and that would have been a very unfair advantage. I think that there's a lot of work to do in the future from council's point of view in relation to how we portray to the Valuer General in the future, how we perceive the outcomes of his valuation process, because it certainly has affected people in our region, and I commiserate with those. But from my point of view, I've done my best in the room, and I congratulate council as a whole on the outcome of this budget. Thank you, Mr Mayor. Thank you, councillors. Thank you, staff.
Thank you, Councillor Honour. Councillor Cooper.
Yeah, just further to the comments from Councillor Honour, Mr Mayor, I would just like to bring to the attention of the public and to everybody that some 42,037 ratepayers will see no increase in their rates this year.
How many?
42,037 people will see no increase in their rates this year, and in fact, some will see that decrease this year. So we've taken a very solid line to the future in making it easier for people due to COVID and giving them the assurance that we're there to assist and take them through these tough times. So I make that very clear to the community and to our ratepayers. The other thing, of course, is that the pensioners will still receive their $165 benefit this year. There's some 10,166 of those, and that comes at a cost of 1.7 million. So the community can be assured that we've put them first when it comes to this budget, and the staff have worked very hard in conjunction with the councillors to bring this budget to the community.
Thank you, Councillor Cooper, and Councillor Trevor, and then Councillor Barnes.
Thank you very much, Mr Mayor, fellow councillors, staff. I'd like to congratulate my fellow councillors on the effort that they put into this year's budget. As Councillor Honour and Councillor Cooper have already indicated, it's been a difficult budget to bring together this year with valuations coming in and also COVID-19 playing such a major role in the region over the past 6 months and beyond. I'm proud of what we've been able to achieve. I think that the Works program that delivers full employment for our staff, delivers on those footpaths, roads, drainage, upgrades to waste and water treatment plants is something that positions this community well going forward into the future. It's always difficult when you have a number of competing interests to look at the fairness side of it. And I think that's one thing that we have tried to do in this budget is to look at what is fair and what we can deliver. We are very fortunate that this council was in a good financial position prior to the COVID-19. Because if we weren't, and you're seeing a number of councils around Queensland having some major effects upon their budgets because of the financial position they are in prior to this year's budget. I think it's prudent that we've taken a look at our finances. We've made sure that our borrowings are limited and we're in a position to be able to go forward next year. It's exciting to be able to continue to deliver the program that we will this year for all of our ratepayers, because I think it's important that we provide that impetus, that ability for the community to see that there is a future here and a very bright future at that.
Thanks, Councillor Trevor. Any other councillors? Oh, Councillor Barnes, sorry. Thanks, Trevor.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. Councillors, I guess, first of all, I'd like to thank Council for setting aside standing orders and giving those councillors who want to make comment the opportunity to do so. A budget document by its very nature is highly complex, and in my term in local government, I've always supported the annual budget. Again, I will support this budget, but I use this opportunity just to raise some concerns in relation to the issues that Councillor Honour alluded to, and that is in relation to the unusual and probably unprecedented increases in valuations in Category 7, which is coastal oceanfront, and Category 9, which is agricultural land. I note that the rate in a dollar has been reduced marginally, but we're still seeing property owners experiencing 40+% increases in their valuation, and that is of course reflected in the rate in the dollar for that particular category. I guess the only other time that I've seen anything of this magnitude has been when the 3 former shire councils and the city council amalgamated, and there was huge disparities between the rate in a dollar of those former councils, and we had to bring them together in some way. I'm disappointed that council didn't have the opportunity to explore further the opportunity to look into banding, as it's known, banding within a category based on varying thresholds of property valuations. I think that might have certainly eased the situation for those who are affected by large increases. And then I also noticed that following the amalgamation, that the council thought it was unreasonable to suddenly bring everyone's rates up to the same. And so in some cases, categories were brought in over a phasing-in period of some years. And I would like to have seen that considered a bit more. As I said, having said that, it's a complex document. I've considered carefully whether to support it, but I think it would be irresponsible not to support it. And indeed, if the majority didn't support it, then basically bring council operations to a halt. So I appreciate the fact that I've been able to express my concerns, and I'm hoping that we can look further into different methods that we can apply to try and soften the blow on those who have got such large valuation increases and therefore rate increases. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Barnes. Any other councillor wish to comment in relation to the budget? No. So thank you, everybody, and thank you for those opportunities and comments in relation to the budget that's being presented. So I now move the standing orders be resumed. May I have a seconder, please? Seconder, Councillor Barnes. All those in favour? Those against? No. So moved. Next item of business is item 2 in relation to differential general rates. I call Councillor Cooper.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor, and I now move that A, pursuant to section 81 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, the categories into which rateable land is categorised, the description of those categories, and pursuant to section 81 in brackets 4 and 81 in brackets 5 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, that the method by which the land is to be identified and included in the appropriate categories as follows. And you can see that on the screen, because I won't be going through all of those individually. B, the council delegates the Chief Executive Officer the power of pursuant to section 257 of the Local Government Act 2009 and sections 81 in brackets 4 and 81 in brackets 5 of the Local Government Regulation 2012 to identify the differential rating categories to which each parcel of rateable land is included by using relevant land information from Council's land records and any other information which identifies the use of these rateable lands. C, pursuant to section 94 of the Local Government Act 2009 and section 80 of the Local Government Act 2012, the differential general rate to be made and levied for each differential general rates category, and pursuant to section 77 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, the minimum general rate to be made and levied for each of the different general rates categories as follows on the table, as is seen on the screen.
Thank you, Councillor Cooper. Can I have a seconder, please? Seconder, Councillor Bartel. Any speakers against the motion? No. All those in favour? Those against? No. So moved. Next item of business is item 3, the separate charge. I call Councillor Cooper.
Yeah, Mr Mayor, I now move that pursuant to section 94 of the Local Government Act 2009 and section 103 of the Local Government Act 2012, Council makes a levy separate charge to be known as the Community Environmental Charge. The sum of $50 per assessment to be levied equally on all land in the region as set out in the revenue statement for the purpose of assisting with the maintenance and improvement of the community facility, upgrading and environments of the enhancement of parks and reserves for the natural areas.
Thank you, Councillor Cooper. Can I have a seconder, please? Seconder is Councillor Trevor. Any speakers against? Oh, Councillor Barnes, yeah.
Thank you, Mr Mayor.
That's all right, Councillor Barnes.
I will speak against it, and as I said before, I'll vote for it, but I need to raise the issue as to the title of the charge or the levy being identified as a community and environment charge. Basically covers all operations of the council. My preference would be that it be more specifically designed for a purpose that can be identified by the community as being levied and allocated for and used for a specific area, whether it be an environmental charge, whether it be a community safety levy or whatever. I just find that the title community and environment charge is so wide that it's hard to identify why it's being raised and where it's being allocated to.
Thanks, Councillor Barnes. Anyone else wish to speak against the motion? No. I'll now put the item to the vote. All those in favour? Those against? So unanimously moved. The next item of business is item 4. It's in relation to the special charge. I call Councillor Cooper.
Thank you once again, Mr Mayor. I now move that A, pursuant to Section 94 of the Local Government Act 2009 and Section 94 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, Council makes a levy a special charges to be known as the Rural Fire Services Special Charges of $30 on each assessment in the local government areas to which the overall plan applies, and as set out in the revenue policy. Multiple charges will apply on all assessments if they compromise multi-rural fire brigade areas, which one charge of $30 per rural fire brigade area. B, that the overall plan for the Rural Fire Services Special Charges is as follows. 1, the special charge shall fund an ongoing provision in maintenance of rural fire equipment for the rural fire brigades that operate throughout Class E areas under the Fire and Emergency Service Regulation 2011. 2, that the land to which the plan applies to is each assessment in the local government area which is situated within the Class E levy area under the Fire and Emergency Services Regulation 2011. 3, that the estimated cost of implementing the overall plan is $395,000. 4, that the estimated time for the implementing of the overall plan is 1 year. The land or its occupier especially benefits from the service, facilities or activities funded by the special charges because it funds the ongoing provision of maintenance of rural firefighting in the specific areas in which the land is situated.
Thank you, Councillor Cooper. Can I have a seconder, please? The seconder is Councillor Barnes. Any speakers against? Councillor Honour.
Mr Mayor, I'm going to speak against this, but I will support it for the fact that the rural fire services, all the individual rural fire service sheds around the region had the opportunity to support this levy, and they have supported it unanimously, otherwise it wouldn't be here at council. But on the other hand, I attend a lot of rural fire meetings, and there's always a complaint about the $30 levy that is collected by council on their all their rating. But the fact of the matter is that it is their levy, and we are collecting it free of charge, and it's all put back to their rural fire areas. The concern that I have, Mr Mayor, is that there's a lack of understanding that the state government always also has a levy that they apply to all ratings in the area, that is the responsibility through the state government for local government to collect. That emergency service levy is not fully explained to the emergency service volunteer units across our region, in that levy was supposed to support those organisations, and it is not fully doing that, and they don't understand that they should be actually applying to the state government for a part of that levy to support the equipment that they need to protect lives, to protect property, to protect their own lives, so that they can get back to their families safely after a fire event. So, Mr Mayor, I'd just like to have it put on the books that we need to promote to those emergency service units, especially the volunteer units, that they need to ask the state government where the money is actually being spent from the levy that they pay on all their ratings for an emergency service levy. Thank you.
Thanks, councillor. Anyone else wish to speak against the motion? No. I'll now put the item to the vote. All those in favour? Those against? Carried unanimously. The next item of business is item 5. It's in relation to water utility charges. I call councillor Cooper.
Yes, thank you again, Mr Mayor, and I now move that pursuant to section 94 of the Local Government Act 2009 and section 99 and 101 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, Council makes a levy water utilities charge for the supply of water services to Council as follows. The water access charges as displayed on the screen. 2, the water consumption charges. 1, charges per kilolitre. First tier is $1.16 per kilolitre for the first 150 kilolitres and consumption per half year. Second tier is $1.90 per kilolitre for the kilolitres consumption for 150 kilolitres per half year. 2, the charges per kilolitre for the Bernard Downs yard water supply reticulation group of services area and the system woods non-portable supply. The first tier is 93 cents per kilolitre for the first 150 kilolitres and the consumption per half year. The second tier is $1.52 per kilolitre for each kilolitre of consumption above 150 per half year. B, that the application of the above levy water charges be in accordance with the further details provided by Council's revenue statement and contained in the 2020-21 budget and operational plan.
Thank you, councillor Cooper. Can I have a seconder, please? Seconder is councillor Honour. Is any speakers against? No. I'll now put that to the vote. All those in favour? Those against? No. So moved unanimously. Next item is item 6, is sewage utility charges. I call councillor Cooper.
Yes, I now move that A, pursuant to section 94 of the Local Government Act 2009 and section 99 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, Council make the levy sewage utility charges for the supply of sewage services by Council as follows: a sewage charge of $782, and B, that the application of the above levy sewage charge be in accordance with further details provided in the Council's revenue statement as contained in the 2020-2021 budget and operational plan.
Thanks, councillor Cooper. Can I have a seconder, please? Seconder, councillor Bartels. Any speakers against? No. All those, put the item to the vote. All those in favour? Those against? No. So moved. Next item is item 7. It's the trade waste utility charges. I call councillor Cooper.
Thank you again, Mr Mayor, and I now move that A, pursuant to section 94 of the Local Government Act 2009 and section 99 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, Council make a levy trade waste utility charge for the control of management of trade waste by Council as follows, and as displayed on the screen. B, that the application of the above levy trade waste charges be in accordance with the further details provided by the Council's revenue statement and contained in the 2020-2021 budget and operational plan, and are to be levied in the full half year, 1st of January 2021 to the 30th of June 2021.
So can I have a seconder, please? And seconder is councillor McLaughlin. Any speakers against? Put it to the vote. All those in favour? Those against? So moved. Next item is item 8, the waste management utility charges. I call councillor Cooper.
Thanks, Mr Mayor, once more, and I now move that A, pursuant to section 94 of the Local Government Act 2009 and section 99 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, Council make a levy waste management utility charge for the supply of waste management services by Council as follows, and is displayed on the board, on the screen. B, the application of all above levies waste management charges be in accordance with further details provided in the Council revenue statement as contained in the 2020-21 budget and operational plan.
Can I have a seconder, please? Seconder, councillor Cochran. Any speakers against? Now put it to the vote. All those in favour? Those against? So moved. Next item of business, item 9, in relation to levy and payment. I call Councillor Cooper.
Yes, thank you again. I now move A, pursuant to section 107 of the Local Government Regulation 2012 and section 114 of the Fire and Emergency Services Act 1990, council rates and charges and state government emergency management fire and rescue levy be levied for the half year 1st of July 2020 to the 31st of December 2020, in July to August 2020, and for the half year 1 January 2021 to the 30th of June 2021, February, March 2021. B, pursuant to section 118 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, the council rates and charges and state government emergency management fire and rescue levy be paid within 35 days of the date of issue of the rates notice.
Thank you, Councillor Cooper. Seconder, please. As second is Councillor Learmonth. Any speakers against? No. All those in favour? Those against? No. So moved. Next item is item 10, in relation to interest. I call Councillor Cooper.
Thanks again, Mr Mayor. I now move that A, pursuant to section 133 of the Local Government Act Regulation 2012, compound interest on a daily rate rest at the rate of 8.53 per annum will be charged on the financial year 1st of July 2020 to the 30th of June 2021 on all overdue rates or charges. B, for the calculation of interest for the financial year the 1st of July 2020 to the 30th of June 2021 only, interest will only be applied to the overdue rates and charges from the 1st of January 2021 onwards.
Thank you, Councillor Cooper. Can I have a seconder, please? Seconder is Councillor McPhee. Any speakers against? Put that to the vote. All those in favour? Those against? So moved. Next item of business is item 11, in relation to council rates concessions. I call Councillor Cooper.
I now move pursuant to section 122 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, council grants concessions to pensioners, all rural fire brigades, all men sheds, and all other ratepayers as set out in the revenue statement contained in the 2020-21 budget and the operational plan as follows. A, pensioners rate of $165 per annum, in brackets $82.50 per half year, and the brackets on the rate and charge on rates and charges for appropriate pensioners. B, all rural fire brigades full rebate for all rates and charges. C, Bundaberg, Elliott Heads and Moore Park Surf Life Saving Clubs and full rebate on all rates and charges with the exception of water consumption. And D, other ratepayers a rebate of up to $1,700 per annum, excluding water consumption as set out in the revenue statement contained in the 2020-2021 budget and operational plan.
Thanks, Councillor Cooper. Seconder is Councillor Haberman. Any speakers against? No. I'll now put that to the vote. All those in favour? Those against? So moved. Next item of business is item 12, debt policy. I call Councillor Cooper.
Yes, I now move that the pursuant to section 192 of the Local Government Regulation 2012 debt policy as contained in the 2020-2021 budget and operational plan be adopted.
Thank you, Councillor Cooper. Can I have a seconder, please? The seconder is Councillor Barnes. Any speakers against? No. I'll now put the matter to the vote. All those in favour? Those against? So moved. Next item is item 13, it's investment policy. I call Councillor Cooper.
Yes, I now move, Mr Mayor, that pursuant to section 191 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, debt policy as contained in the 2020-21 budget and operational plan be adopted.
Thank you, Councillor Cooper. Can I have a seconder, please? Is a seconder is Councillor Bartels. Any speaker who wishes to speak against the motion? No. I'll now put it to the vote. All those in favour? Those against? So moved. Item 14 is next in relation to Code of Competitive Conduct. I call Councillor Cooper.
Yes, I now move, Mr Mayor, A, in accordance with section 47 in bracket 7 of the Local Government Act 2009, Council resolved to apply a Code of Competitive Conduct to the following business activities. 1, the Bundaberg Airport, and 2, council's holiday parks. B, in accordance with section 47 (8) of the Local Government Act 2009, council resolved not to apply the Code of Competitive Conduct to 1, its roads activities, as it does not construct or maintain roads under competitive tender, nor does it undertake activities on commercial basis or in competition with any other private sector. 2, its building certification activities, as it does not undertake activities within the meaning of the section 10 of the Building Act 1975 on a commercial basis in competition with any other private sector.
Thanks, Councillor Cooper. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Honour. Any speakers against the motion? No. I'll now put it to the vote. All those in favour? Those, yeah, I'll just do all. So all those in favour? Those against? So moved. Next item is item 15. It's in relation to the 2020-21 operational plan. I call Councillor Cooper.
Yeah, Mr Mayor, I now move that pursuant to section 104 of the Local Government Act 2009 and section 174 of the Local Government Regulation 2012 and the 2020-21 operational plan as contained in the 2020-2021 budget and operational plan be adopted.
Thank you, Councillor Cooper. Can I have a seconder, please? Seconder is Councillor Haberman. Any speakers against? Thank you, Councillor Cooper. I'll now put the item to the vote. All those in favour? Those against? So moved. Next item is item 16. It's the incorporation of documents.
Yes, thank you, Mr Mayor. This is the last item. I now move that a document referred to in any part of this meeting resolution is incorporated by the reference as in the document had been included in full.
Thank you, Councillor Cooper. Can I have a seconder, please? Is a seconder is Councillor McPhee. Any speakers against? All those in favour? Those against? So moved. This brings to conclusion the business of today's meeting, and I now close the meeting at 9:44 a.m. and I thank you for your attendance here today.